Good morning. I am Andrea with Happy Cloud Creations. I designed the Starlight Mountains quilt that we are using for this quilt along. And I'm going to try to do this video one more time. I keep losing internet and power. So I'm going to wait a couple seconds to see if anybody jumps on. Yes, I am in the National Quilter Circle Block Challenge group. I think I just accidentally tried to jump on my personal page. So hopefully people can find me again. I started one earlier and my internet went out for some reason. So I hope everyone is having a great day and I hope they are excited about this quilt challenge. Oh good, some more people are jumping on. You found me, yay! We're having a big windstorm today and losing power on and off. So hopefully I can get through this. I'm gonna get into it since I don't know how long I'll have. So we're gonna take our 5 1/4 inch square and our 2 7/8 inch squares. Mark a line from one corner to the other on this. I like using a hair marker. I got mine on Amazon. You can also get them at Joann's or at your local quilt shop. It leaves an indent in your fabric and you don't leave ink on your fabric. If you are hard of seeing, you might want to use some sort of disappearing ink pen. Once you have those done, you're going to pin them. This one's not pinned, but you're going to pin them on your square, 2 squares opposite. And then you're going to take, hopefully you have a 1/4 inch foot. I have a 1/4 inch foot, or you make your needle so that you are sewing a scant 1/4 inch. I line my foot up on that drawn line and I sew a 1/4 inch scant on both sides of this drawn line. If you don't have a 1/4 inch scant seam, your flying geese will not end up the correct size. So if you worried about this, you can try doing this with some scrap fabric first, just so that you're like, okay, I got this before you cut into your nice fabric. Actually, my scissors are behind my computer. Okay, so some people like to cut these with a rotary cutter. I just use scissors because I feel like if I'm using scissors, it's not going to slip one way or the other. And sometimes when you use a rotary cutter, you slip and you cut where you don't want to cut. So we'll have 2 pieces that look like this. I like to press it with my iron and then I finger press it open. Okay, people are jumping on. Say hi if you jump on so I can make sure I can see comments. Okay, guys? Hopefully I can see comments. So I finger press it open and then I press it with my iron. And when you're pressing it, you want to make sure this seam right here is as straight as possible. Your geese can end up wonky if this straight is bowed when you iron it. That's why we press. We don't iron. Pressing keeps our seams straight. Ironing can make them wonky. Also, I recommend using no steam when you're doing this. Oh, good. Hello, Patty. Hello, Cindy. I'm glad you guys found me again. Sorry about that. Oh, my goodness. 2020 just has it in for us, huh? So make sure that seam is straight as possible. Then next, you will take your square, draw a line down the center, pin it to this little heart shaped. And then again, you're going to sew a 1/4 inch scant from each side. If anyone has questions, please let me know. Hello, hello, hello. A lot of people are trying to find the video. I'm sorry, Tammy. Hopefully next week will work out better. I highly doubt we'll have a windstorm next week too. Trying to get this done before my kids wake up. My son just woke up. 7:45. We got this. School doesn't start till 9. Hello, hello. Okay, so as you can see, if you can see, we got a 1/4 inch scant on both sides of that line now. And then I'm just going to cut with scissors. I prefer scissors over the rotary blade because if you use that and you slip, you might ruin your flying geese. So now we're going to have a flying geese that looks like this. For this one also, whenever I'm opening my seams, I just finger press them open first. That way you're gently opening it and then I press with my iron, because if you Just use your iron to open a seam. Sometimes you might press it too hard and then you'll be able to see the threads, and you don't want to see the threads, especially if you have darker fabric. You're using a lighter color fabric thread. So that's what it's going to look like when it's done. Let's see. Okay, so we got a pressed one. But we got these little dog ears. What are we going to do? Okay, so even though these are 4 at one time and no waste, I still like to trim them up. I like to make sure they're the perfect size. So when you're trimming them up, I like using my 6.5 inch square ruler. If you have a 4.5 inch square ruler, that's cool too. You can use your big one. That's fine, your 6 by 24. I like using this one just because it's a little more manageable. And then I like to measure in since this is supposed to be 4.5 inches wide, I measure 2 1/4 inch in, and that's where that line is going to want to line up. You're going to want 2 1/4 inch at that triangle. And then you're also going to want to make sure there is a 1/4 inch of fabric above that point. See where that point is? You want to make sure there's a 1/4 inch. So if there's a little more than a 1/4 inch, you're going to want to trim that up, just making sure it's 2.5 by 4.5 inches. Okay, so we got that. So we want to make sure there's a 1/4 inch up here above the point. That way when you sew all your pieces together, that's going to be your seam allowance, and then you're going to keep your point. All right, so I have some trimmed up, and they should look like this when they're trimmed up. So we want exactly 4.5 by 2.5. Sometimes when you make it this method, you got a little bits coming up where they're not supposed to, and I just like to trim them so they are perfectly rectangular. All right, so does anybody have questions about the 4 at one time flying geese? If you don't care for that method, you can make a 1 at one time flying geese, which would basically be a 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangle plus, and then your dark purple, or your, what color would that be? B color, and this is your D color. Your B color would be 2.5 inch squares, and then you would just mark a line down that square, and you would sew toward the outer of that line, and then you trim it off. I'll be going over that during the mountain block, because on the mountain block, we will be making 4 of our flying geese with the 4 at one time, and then we'll be making 2 of our flying geese with the 1 at one time. If you are making a twin, queen, or king, please look at the fabric requirements for those sizes. They list how many blocks you will need for each block. So for this one, the throw only needs 6. I think the twin needs like 8, and so on and so on. So look under those to see how many blocks you need to make. We'll have to rewatch Miss the Beginning while looking at the new video. Sorry, Tammy. Yeah, I just wanted to get into it so I can make sure I have it well powered. It sounds like the wind has died down. So hopefully we're good, guys. So we got all of our flying geese. So you notice mine's all different colors. I'm going scrappy this time. My original isn't scrappy. It's just the 4 main colors. I wanted to go scrappy this time so you guys could see what it would look like to be scrappy. And if you guys are like, I don't have any yardage, all I have is scraps. Hey, this quilt would be really fun in scraps, I feel like. So we're going to take, the reason you square them up is so that you can make sure they fit the other pieces. So if this one ended up being a little bit bigger than 2.5 by 4.5, it wouldn't match this center block. So we're going to sew we're going to sew 2 of these flying geese to your 4.5 by 4.5 inch square. I only had time to sew 1 this morning. Let's see, maybe this one has 2 on it. Oh, it does. So this one has 2. When you're sewing this on, you want to make sure your seam is hitting above this little triangle. So if your seam goes below that little seam triangle, you're going to cut off your point. But if the seam goes above that little triangle seam, if you can see that, let's see. If it goes above that little triangle seam, you're not going to lose your point. And then it's going to look like that when you open it. Good morning, good morning. If anybody has questions, let me know. This is like, we're starting with the easiest block of the quilt because I wanted everybody to feel confident and do this block and go, okay, this is a breeze. You only got to make 6 for the throw, and these go together pretty quickly. So we have a unit looking like this now. And then to sew these squares on, I like to pin them on the edges. And then you're just going to want to make sure you have a consistent 1/4 inch scant seam going from the top to the bottom. If it veers out, you're going to want to look, okay, make sure those are straight. Make sure those are straight. If it veers out, correct it. Go back and sew it so it is straight. So that when you open it up, you'll have about a 1/4 inch on the top of both of these points. And then when you go to sew these together, you're going to want to press these seams in and these seams out. That way they're alternating. This one out and this one in. That way when you go to put these two together, I can show you. I wanted to get one completely done this morning, but then my power went out and I was like, oh no! You can nest them together if one seam is going one way and one seam is going the other way. And then when you're sewing it together again, make sure your seam is above that little seam point. And then it will turn out perfect. Does anybody have any questions for this week? I'm really so glad all of you guys could join me this morning. I know it's super early and we had a little bit of technical difficulties in the beginning. But I think everybody's going to do great on this quilt. And this block is super easy. Thank you, Georgia. She likes my blouse. So if nobody has any questions, I may get going. Next week, I will try to jump on Monday. Probably, I'm going to try to do in the afternoon next week. I'm going to see how the online schooling goes this week and see what time is best to jump on. I'm hoping in the afternoon when the kids have self-directed learning or maybe a recess, I can jump on and give a little tutorial for next week. Next week will be small block or small star block number 2. And so it's going to be very easy too. It's going to have the flying geese. So you'll know how to do the flying geese from this week. And then I will show you how to do the square and square, which is the center of that block. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, and please post your pictures in the group. In the NQC Quilt Block Challenge Facebook group, post your pictures. Or if you're on Instagram, use that hashtag NQC Quilt Block Challenge, because I love seeing your guys' quilt blocks pop up. I love seeing all the different color combos. I'm really excited to see all of your guys' quilts come together. So I will say goodbye for now, and I will see you guys next Monday, and I will make an event in the group so you guys know exactly what time I will be on.